After a career in advertising, Joseph McGlennon has become an art photographer, creating elaborately constructed montages featuring taxidermied creatures. Joseph, welcome to Art Shots.
Fantastic to be here.
What's your work about?
Well, just recently after the Strange Voyage exhibition, I've really started to focus on working with taxidermy, and I really kind of like that space. It kind of, and dealing with taxidermists, they try and fill that space between life and death. It's kind of alive, was alive, now it's dead, but it's a space in between.
And how do you source your taxidermied creatures?
Most taxidermists are really sort of obliging. You give them a call and you can go around and they charge you. They're used to photographers or artists going around there. So you can get pretty good access to them. And usually what I do is I just did one in Melbourne. And I spent 3 days in the taxidermy studio and set up a studio there and a backdrop and everything. And I just, at my leisure, brought pieces in. It was good fun.
But what about a Tasmanian tiger? You can't come across one of those everywhere.
I was really looking for a new idea after the exhibition on the kangaroos. And a friend of mine, Wayne Fimery, who's a writer, makes a film writer, he just finished a film called The Hunter with Willem Dafoe. And he called me and said, I've just finished this film, I'll send you, the first copy if you like, have a look. And I was blown away by that film. I was absolutely really moved by it. Tigers in Australia, how wonderful. And I just thought, well, that could be a really good thing to pursue, at least have a go at it. So I rang everybody who could possibly have a Tasmanian tiger in the vault somewhere. And I was just blown off every single time. New South Wales Museum, they were less than responsive. South Australian Museum started out to be fairly cooperative, they were great. And then they suddenly closed ranks and everything shut down. And then I called the Hobart Museum and spoke to the lady there who's in charge of mammals, who was actually very pleasant, very nice, and she invited me down to Hobart to have a look at what they had. But again, they were very nervous about me photographing these. Everyone just decided that it wasn't a good idea. And the reason for that, I think, is because it represents failure. It really does. It really represents failure on a lot of levels, from ecologists to scientists. And it really does represent failure. That's why we really don't hear about Tasmanian tigers very much, or thylacines as they're called. Mm-hmm. So we really don't hear about them. And so after going down to Hobart and speaking with the lady down there, the museum down there rather, I suddenly realised that I'm going to have to find an alternative. So I rang around and I found, let's just say, a private collector. And the reason why I think that they're not allowing access to Tasmanian tigers at the moment is there's a cloning issue on the table. And it's become a big issue. And I think we're really looking for some kind of salvation to, bring us back. There is no photographs of Tasmanian tigers in the wild, in the Tasmanian wilderness. None at all. They're all in cages. They're all locked up in some corner somewhere. It's a terrible, terrible tragedy. And I just thought how wonderful it would be to make some beautiful heroic images of Tasmanian tigers in the wild. And when I went to Tasmania and photographed Tasmania, I was absolutely blown away by the landscape. It was mind-boggling. And the package of the thylacine in the landscape, it just became stronger and stronger for me. I just thought, wow, that's really quite special. And as you're wandering around the mountain and the sort of wilderness, you kind of expect to see one. If it's in your mind, you expect to see one. You're never going to see one, of course, but how wonderful it would have been, And it's very much alive in Tasmania. People are still talking about them. There's no shortage of people who have seen them.